congrats on Bloodlines. The singles have been
Thank you.
fantastic. Maybe arguably the best cover art you guys have ever put out.
Well, thank you.
Really
Thank
awesome.
you. Thank you. Thank you. I think it captures the meaning. You need to have a cover that captures the vibe of the album, and I think it has it because it's aggressive, but the blood is about passion, is about and you can hear that there's a lot of the other thing is a lot of dynamics in the albums, which I think I like, which was something I always hoped it would happen, because I like to have within the album and in the songs a lot of dynamics, because that's what I like about music. That what makes me like any kind of music, if there is a dynamic within it. So yes, I'm pretty proud of it. Yeah. Considering that it's been conceived in those 2 years of absolute nightmare that was COVID. It's looking
Crazy.
back, it's like, okay, we've done something good out of something bad, so that's it.
How long did it take to make the record?
Well, the record was we started working on new songs, I would say, in 2021.
Okay.
Because in 2020, everything got stopped. We had to cancel everything, all the gigs and everything. We were completely, and then we got the news that our Michael McChrystal, our guitar player, was leaving. So during COVID, we had to do auditions to find a new guitarist. We found Francesco, and we start working straight away with Francesco. And we had to deal with the fact that we could not get together like we used to do, because there was no way to travel. We tried a few times to even, to just check how it would have been possible, and it wasn't possible. It was too expensive, or either absolutely impossible to get to England and to rehearse together. So we ended up working using technology and working, each one from our houses. I mean, the three guys in England getting together and then sending ideas to us, and then we were working on demos and things. And and to my surprise, it worked really well, because there were either songs that were already there and need to be arranged or tweaked, or if there was, in the case of complete new song, it was like either Rob sending a riff idea to Francesco, and Francesco, within a couple of sometimes a couple of days, sometimes a week, he would come up with a full song, and then giving me and the drummer, who's Craig, the opportunity to start working on the lyrics and melodies, or it was the other way around. It was Francesco sending some riffs or some ideas, and on the other way, Rob working on it and things. So it was strange. It was different from usual, but it ended up to be, we ended up writing more than we expected, because when we ended up with more than 20 songs, out of which we chose the 10 songs that went on the album, plus a couple of extra tracks, meaning Red Mist, that was on the EP together with A Newer Heartbeat, was a B-side, and then we chose, and we have recorded another couple of tracks, one of which should be included in the Japanese edition of the album as a real B-side.
Cool.
And we still have some extra material that is there, so that we can pick up maybe in the future. Maybe we just leave it, or maybe when it comes down to the 25th anniversary of Bloodlines, we'll have the bonus tracks that everybody would love to listen to.
That's awesome.
It was a very creative thing, at least for me, writing music was the cure to get along with the fact that I was stuck in the house. I couldn't teach. I'm a teacher. I'm a singing teacher. I'm singing, vocal coach and teacher. Cool. And I couldn't do anything. I could do only online lessons, which, believe me, are the worst thing that you can never think of, especially when you have to teach how to sing, and there's even sometimes there's no, there's the echo or the delay because of the connection. It was a nightmare. So recording, concentrate on recording music, on writing stuff was the perfect way to keep your mind set and positive, and and get yourself in your zone, away from all the hassles and all the horrible news that were coming out, saying you're still stuck, still locked down, you can't go there, you can't go this. So in the end, we managed to come up with something pretty good out of one of the worst time ever you would ever experience in your life. So that's the good thing of being a musician. So you have to be a creative soul. You have that, you have a way to get away from everything and concentrate on something good.
Cool. And, well, that's very interesting. I had no idea you actually taught singing lessons.
Yeah, really cool. Yeah. It's when I'm not touring, I'm teaching it here in Italy, Florence. I'm a vocal coach, and I don't know how to describe it, that private school, but and then I am in charge of taking care of of bands that want to write their own stuff for the first time. So basically 14, 15-year old kids who have some skill in playing. So we put them together like a 4-piece band, 5-piece band. And I'm the guy who's supposed to tell them and show them how you should write a song, which is very challenging. Also because the first thing I say to the students is that there is no book, there is not a recipe, there is not like an instruction, something you can just follow. You have to create your own way of writing music, and you have to allow yourself to be confident enough to express yourself, and then to be also brave enough to offer it to the other members of the band, and eventually work together on the song. But it's very challenging. It's very rewarding. And I like to be. It keeps my mind fresh, because obviously even though I don't. Maybe I have to deal with boys and girls 14, 15-year-old who like crap music, like trap and things like that. But at the same time, I get the chance to have their perspective of the thing. So sometimes it helps me understand why probably I don't like that kind of genre of music, because I'm too old. I'm just too old for that shit, because it's their thing, and it's good to be their thing. But it's good. Yeah,
that's so interesting to hear about trap. The thing is, I'm around it a lot too. Like I just got out of college, so that's all I heard. But I think it's terrible. It's awful music. But that's so funny to hear your opinion on it. And
it's the same. Well, I try my best, but sometimes I say, I keep saying to the guys, at the same time, in Italy in the last 20 years, I experienced even the weird, very weird, that experienced this very weird thing that you go to big festival and you see whole family watching and adoring a band. Like, you go to see Ozzy, and there is father, mother, kids, sometimes even grandfather, and which is great. It's great, but at the same time, it's a bit scary, because Ozzy was, when Black Sabbath came out, the young guys liked it. The parents didn't like it.
Like edgy kids.
Yeah, exactly. So I think to allow music to evolve, you need to have something that it's not liked by everybody. It has to have some kind of edge. Just like when the Beatles came out, or even when Elvis came out, kids loved it. Parents were really concerned. Who's this guy doing these strange dances and touching his pubal parts and things like that? It's like, oh, that's not what I want to see. But that what made music evolve. So in a way, hopefully something that is totally, you know, it's made for the teenagers, and it's their language, maybe would allow them to evolve and to get to something that might be really, you know, interesting. So far, no.
Yeah.
So far, what I heard
Yeah.
is not interesting. Meaning Eminem, if compared to what you hear now, is genius. You know, it's like genius. Absolutely. You listen to an Eminem song now, and you just go, wow, and wow, that's comparing to what you hear now. It's wow, it's
Oh yeah.
fantastic, fantastic. But at the time, we were all saying, oh, I don't want to hear Eminem.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not my stuff. Yeah.
No, he's just a insane like writer in terms of lyrics
Mm,
and rhyming and connecting words.
exactly.
Yeah,
And
that's why, if anything, I'd love to have a time machine and just see where music is in a few
yeah,
decades with trap and everything, all these SoundCloud artists. And it'd be
yeah.
so interesting because that's so
The other,
funny you bring up with
yeah,
Ozzy.
the other thing is that exactly that you have for the first time ever in history of music, you have this totally not you know, how can I say, you have an artist that have millions of views, but if he goes live, there's not many people going to see it, because it's a more kind of a online kind of phenomenon. So
Yeah,
you
like landscape.
and exactly, while in the past it was, you know, top selling artists, you know, big numbers when he was out gigging, even in the pop, meaning you think about Madonna, and you know, Madonna, top selling artist, and then you go to, and then there was stadium, she was doing a stadium tour with, you know, 60,000 people every time. Now, especially in Italy, you have these big names that have big numbers, like a billion streams on Spotify, and then they go to see, they play live, and they play to 400 people,
Yeah.
1,000 people, and you just go, what's going on? Who's right? What's so
Yeah.
what's what it means to be famous now? What it means to be famous? Is it the streams? Is it the what's on the internet, or is the, you know, the real figures when you go to see somebody live, that there's not that many people? And that's quite strange. That's really quite strange. Meaning it doesn't happen with rock music, because in rock music, you know, still, even though, you know, Metallica, just, you know, this is going to be the weeks of Metallica new albums. But Metallica, at least they do big numbers, and they're going to be the tour is going to be sold out in, you know, bing,
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
matter
It's
what you think
crazy.
about the music. Yeah,
It is
no matter what.
crazy. Yeah. And it is funny you're saying that, like, what it is to even be famous anymore. Like I'm
Yeah,
a like I do gigs all around, like touring, doing comedy, and it's
yeah,
like I don't even know. I see people and it's like, how are you this level of fame right now? And with the internet, it's totally changed.
yeah.
Now with the Tigers, you guys have kind of made the leap. You guys are on all streaming. You guys are on social media. What was it like making that leap from like just the analog life to this whole digital age?
We have well, we have to learn. You have to, you know, you just have to be honest, and you just say this is how it goes. This is, if you want to stay in the music business, you have to accept it, and you have to make it your, you make, at least understand it and make it yours. And luckily, we have a team. You know, we have a team. We have a very good, you know, a very good person who works on our social media, and who help us out, and, you know, ask us to, you know, to provide, you know, give me this kind of photos, do this kind of videos, I need this and this and that. So we have been in the last years, meaning even during COVID, we have been learning how to use these new tools. Even, you know, for the album, you know, I was when it came down to do the track listing of the album, obviously it was, we were kindly asked to first think about the singles, and then, in order to put the singles, you know, as the top one on the track list, because that's how people, so the people will hear the things that they already heard, and which we did, and then change our mind, because we were supposed to be doing In My Blood as a single, but then we went for Back for Good because because we were old fashioned.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we changed our mind, and so the record label, again, fucked up. That's it. But for me, this is really strange, because I'm a CD and vinyl person. So when I think about track listing an album, I still think of side A and side B. So I think about how it should be, like a vinyl, how a vinyl should be sounding like. And you have to. Well, the other thing is that you have to accept it and take the best out of it, and just allow yourself to learn to learn more things about it. And sometimes it's difficult to get it stuck in your mind, because our hard disk, my hard disk is quite full, and my mind is quite full of meaning, even to learn the new lyrics, even though I wrote them, to get it in my head from playing live. It's like every time it's like a challenge, because there's too many lyrics in my head.
Yeah.
But that's it. Yeah. But it's good.
That's
it's good.
That's cool. So what's your songwriting process like in terms of writing lyrics? Is it Rob who will give you the song and you'll write
okay,
it?
yeah. Well, it's a very for this album, it's when it comes down to lyrics, it's either me or Craig, the drummer, who works on the lyrics and melodies. And
interesting.
And sometimes we do the things together. Sometimes I do everything all at once. I take care of one song and he takes care of another song complete. And meaning I've been writing lyrics and for band, for songs and in bands for a long time. But this is the one and only time that I share a partnership. Like I have a partnership when it comes down to lyrics. But it seems to be working pretty, very fluid. And in a way, it's for me as a singer, it's really rewarding to have somebody who writes lyrics and melody, having in mind my voice and having in mind how I would, sing it. So it's always quite comfortable. Even though if you know me and Craig, you can tell without reading who wrote what. And in my case, Craig. Oh well, okay. In my case, I am totally inspired by the music. Meaning, I don't have a book of lyrics that I can, sometimes kind of, open and pick out something. I don't have anything written before, and then the songs comes in. I let it go for a couple, just listen and listen and listen. And normally I came up first with the melody. And if and what happened is that in the minute I sing a melody, I try to put some words come like in a very instinctive and natural way. Sometimes they're meaningful. Sometimes they're absolutely, words just I would say they're just sound. I like the sound of the word within the melody, and that's where I start writing. And sometimes without even caring about what am I talking about, I'm just going for it. And sometimes they just come out. When everything is finished, you just look at the lyrics and you just go, okay, what have I written? Is there any sense to it or not? Sometimes there is, sometimes there's not. So when there's not, you kind of panic, because you say, how am I gonna deal with it? Because if I don't know what it means, how can I be effective when I'm singing if I don't know what the hell I've been writing about? And and
wow.
Yeah, and sometimes yes, sometimes it works, but sometimes you get normally what happens is that I get inspired by I concentrate on the melody, and the melody kind of leads me to the kind of feeling, the kind of how what the song should be talking of, and then I start having images, and that's it. Like for Back for Good is about miners. I don't know why it's about miners, but the minute I start listening to this song, when I'm in England, I normally stay at the drummer's house. The drummer's house is in is a small town village near Leeds called Featherstone. That used to be a miner's place, and there is a big monument for miners. And when I heard that song with the and I start doing that, and I had that riff, I thought about mine. The first thing I had was like miners coming out of the mine, you know, walking and doing like a chant. So I said, it's like, you know, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and that's the rock and roll version. That chant at the beginning is the rock and roll version of the Seven Dwarfs. That was, I don't know. I don't take drugs. I swear to God, I don't take drugs. But that's how my
cool
silly, my silly brain works. And that was it. So okay, miners, Featherstone. So and then it's all about, you know, dark, light, colors, black, pitch black, and things like that. And that's how it all started. And then when it comes down to the chorus, I always hope that when I start singing the chorus, the melody of the chorus, the right words just come out, because I want very catchy words so that people can sing it, because we have an audience that, you know, meaning I'm Italian, we play in Germany, Holland, Belgium, Sweden, England, so where, you know, not people listen, well, people understand English, but you need to have very catchy words and simple words so that I can sing them, because it's the best thing. Meaning, I'm brutally honest. I love when I hear people singing the chorus of our songs. It's the most rewarding thing.
Must feel great.
You can ever think of. It's like, yeah, they know the song. Actually, they know the lyrics better than me. Wow, fantastic! And that was it. That was it. So cool. and that's the process. That's the process. And so I wrote Back for Good. I wrote Taste of Love, the whole lyrics. But then, like in My Blood, it was Craig came up with the whole vision of In My Blood is about the virus. It's basically about COVID, and the chorus and the verses and the bridge is all about COVID. And then he was struggling to find a chorus, and then it was me. I'm leaving, and then it was me writing the lyrics and the melodies of the chorus, picking up. Obviously, at that point, I asked Craig, what are the lyrics about, so I can get into the vibe of the lyrics, not just like, you know, out of the blue putting silly words that don't relate to anything before. And that was it. So, and I have to say, the best one are the songs that kind of have that teamwork, because you can hear like two different approaches, kind of finding a mutual solution. But it's strange because, like, I can give you so many examples. Meaning, for like a song like Believe, there is a version of me singing the whole song and with all my lyrics, but then we thought my verses were not as kind of, you know, as good as the chorus, which was we kept the original one. And so Craig came up with some new lyrics and a new melody, which we all thought, oh, it works better. So that's that. And they're very there's no, alas, we know, there's no ego going on in this band finally.
Cool.
So that if somebody comes up with a better idea, I just go, fine, I'm more than happy. Yeah, that yours is better than mine. I'll stick to yours, no problem. It's not like a Kiss thing where, you know, I want my song on the album even though it's crap, because I want the credits.
I know.
No.
Ridiculous. Well, that's really awesome to hear. And it's cool that you guys almost have you guys do have a chemistry, and I feel like you've been in the band long enough now.
We know each other pretty well. Yeah.
So I want to go back. What was your introduction to the Tygers?
Well, introduction. Well, it was in 2004. My life, I was in the middle of a complete change. You know, I was 30 in 2004. How old I was I 36, something like that, and I got divorced, and I was struggling to find a job. So I was going from a part-time job to another. I was determined. Also, at the same time, it was at that time that I said, I'm gonna concentrate on just, on music. I want to make music my job, not anymore my hobby. And so and that's when I started teaching. That's when I started, writing for magazines, and that's when I started also gigging more and more, because I needed the money, and just because my goal was to leave any kind of part-time job, shitty part-time job. And writing that when I was, having this kind of complete earthquake in my life, I received the first ever, I received the news that there was a band in England, a famous, an iconic band in England, looking for a new singer. And since then, I never did any audition, because I was always lucky enough to be the right guy at the right time. I've always been asked by friends to join a band or other. So. And so I said, oh, for the first time, I felt like I'm going to take a chance. You know what? I'm gonna send. I've already been recording and releasing album proper audition in England, so they pay me the flight, and I got there, and we rehearsed, and we met for the first time and rehearsed and do the audition in a town called Darlington in the northeast of England. And Darlington is the place where David Coverdale took the train to go down south, to go to London to do the audition for Deep Purple. So when I got to Darlington, I said, oh, might be a good omen. Maybe it's rock and roll saying to me, history saying to me that this is my turn to have, an audition, and that goes well. And so we played. We did their audition. I played. I think I remember the first song I played was "Take It," and I could see, I was looking, I could see this big smile on their faces. So, and then after the audition, I got straight away the offer: "Is that, will you like to join the band?" And I said, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa. What do you mean? Hey, whoa, no, let's do." I say, "I'm pleased, I'm flattered. Yes, I want to join the band, but at the same time, let's give us some time." Meaning, you can't, let's see how we, if we have to write new songs, if we have to tour, let's see if we get along. It's not just a matter of being, having the right voice or anything. It's about being, a band needs to be a band. It's not okay. I found a manager that's not the manager that we have now, and he started to kind of program, start to do a schedule of what we had to do. And that's when it all started to get pretty professional, I would say. Yeah. So we start having gigs, we start having rehearsals, we start having and we start recording stuff, and it never stopped since then. No, never stopped since then. We always seem to get along. We had lineup changes, but they were all because we lost the bass player Brian West, because he was already working as a roadie for Uriah Heep, and Uriah Heep's schedule began really, really, really tough, and there was no way he could do both. So he was forced to to make a decision, and then he got offered to become like a stage manager for Uriah Heep, or something even more, with even more responsibility. So he was forced to leave. And then with both Brian Robertson, not Brian, sorry, Dean Robertson, the guitar player, and then Mickey McChrystal, it was more like a family and everyday life decision. Meaning, Dean didn't want to tour anymore. He wanted to just he wanted to play, but more in like local gigs, and then enjoy everyday life. He was with his wife and everything, and so he said, I don't want to, feel like I am the one who pulls you back, and you want to go further. And with Mickey, it was mainly the same thing, because he got married, and then he became father, and he wanted to. He was teaching, and he wanted to to be near to the family more. And the idea of having, even though they're not long tour, but basically what is going to happen for the next couple of weeks is going to be all weekend abroad, meaning traveling Ibiza, Sweden, Oslo. So very like long weekend, Thursday, Sunday, every time somewhere in. I want to concentrate on the teaching side and things, and that's it. And so that's mainly what happened. That's mainly what happened. So every time, every time it's everyday life sometimes may putting together everyday life with the lifestyle of a rock band, rock band that plays live and have a schedule is not easy. It's not easy, and
definitely
that what happens. Meaning, if you're an artist, you know exactly how many girls and have you got. So how many girls have you have to say? So you know what, I get it. But although you would love to have me for the weekend, but I'm gigging.
Yeah, that's so funny.
So yeah, are you gonna be out for the night? Yes. There's no. Well, are we gonna have a night out on Saturday? No, darling. For the next 4 months, there's no Saturday available. I'm free on Wednesday, by the way. So.
Well, hey, that's a way better gig.
Most girls don't like that. They want to have the Saturday night out. So
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
That's so funny. That's awesome, and that's cool to hear. Now, so you joined Tygers in 2004.
Yeah.
Very extensive history before that too. When you joined, did you feel like you had to play like catch up at all, or did you feel like you fit right in the band right away?
Wait, I've lost the question because I got a freeze moment. But
yeah. All right,
the expression on your face was quite cool. It was not like the weird one. Oh.
Cool. Good to know. So what I was saying is, you joined in 2004, very extensive history before then. Did you ever feel like you had to kind of play catch up with everything that's happened in the band, or did it feel like you fit in right away? I know a lot of people join a band and they don't really feel like they fit at all. I feel like you fit perfectly though.
Well, okay. I first thing, I was a fan, meaning I had the records, meaning so I didn't bought them at the right time, but when they were out, but I bought them like 4 years after. But I had the 4 albums, the iconic albums, so I knew what they were, and I was aware of the fact that they've been going through singers lineup changes. So I said to them, look, obviously. And they had completely different singers. Meaning, if you think about Jess Cox with Wildcat and then John Deverill, that's a huge difference.
Yeah.
And then when the guy before me was that played on the Noises from the Cat House, had a more like a Bruce Dickinson kind of more epic. And so I said to them, look, my main concern when I started talking with the guys was to say I'm not going to be, because I'm not going to try to emulate the different style of the singers. I have to find a way to to be myself, and at the same time being respectful. So the first thing I did was I found a couple of bootlegs of John, on the early 80s, where John Deverill was singing the songs from Wildcat, because John Deverill's voice was the one I felt I had more things in common. Not that, he's a fantastic singer, great singer. He was revolutionary in a way because he was ahead. His way of singing was ahead of time. It had elements that you could find in the after him in other singers like Geoff Tate and Queensryche and things. So I got that, and then I was very clear to them and I said to them, look, I am, no matter, with no disrespect, but I don't want to be disrespectful, but I am not an heavy metal singer. I'm more of a hard rock. I'm more like a hard rock singer. I grew up. I like the great 70s, the great voice of the 70s. I have an instinctive blues element that I like to carry on. So I'm not a typical heavy. I will not be a typical heavy metal. So if you want to try and you know, and you accept that, and because at the same time, the thing that I always like about Tigers was that they always had in their recipe of music a little bit of hard rock. You think about it, they were heavy metal, but there was also the shuffle, the shuffle tempos of, you know, Slave to Freedom. Then you got Take It, which is a typical hard rock song, and then they had the fast songs like Gangland. But I said to them, look, you know, I was a great fan, and I grew up, and you know, like with Motley Crue and that kind of stuff. So I get the aggressive, I get the fast songs, and there's no problem for that. So that was the thing. So I say, if you want to take the challenge of having well, first of all, of having an Italian singer, secondly, to have somebody who will emphasize the hard rock elements that you have that are in your music, still with the heaviness of the new wave of British heavy metal, I might be the right guy for you. And so if you listen carefully to the first album that we wrote together was Animal Instinct, it's definitely more hard rock.
Yeah.
And then slowly with Ambush, we kind of, thanks also to Chris Stangaridis, the producer, who was the original producer of both Spellbound and Wildcat, we found a more defined heavy rock sound. And that's what, for me, that was the album where I really felt comfortable with the 2016 Tygers of Pan Tang first, and then Ritual. That's for me is a logical evolution from the Ambush sound to get more and more to always find a balance between melody and heaviness. That's the core thing. I always thought that the main goal for Tigers was to find something that could put together, you know, Paris by Air and Gangland. Like that seems to be so the opposite music, but there is a way to find. There was a way to find, and I was sure there was a way to find it, obviously, and that's it. And I think Bloodlines it's even a step further, because I think and then I think the sound, it's less compressed, because if you listen back to Ritual has a very compressed sound, very, very in your face sound. Two Madsen allowed us to be heavy, but at the same time more dynamic. So it kind of understood I would say the little bit of hard rock elements that we have in our sound to emphasize that together with the, so you still have the riffs, you know, they're on your face riffs and everything, but you still have within songs more dynamics, which is exactly that. And the dynamics help the melody to come out when it's needed. So
definitely very, very cool to hear. And yeah, like especially with Bloodlines and all the singles I've heard so far, like it works so well with all you guys, and it's really cool to hear that. And I do totally feel like you are such an essential part of this band, and it's really cool. I'm very excited.
I do my best. I'm down to earth, but you know, well, the thing is that I have, and I share it with the guys. Sometimes I have really clear vision of how a sound should sound like, and I feel totally free to express my vision to the guys, and I'm very lucky that I would say 99% of the time they agree, and when they don't agree, the input they give kind of it's even takes the song even better. So it's like oh you're right, yeah. That's it. So it's good. So yeah. And we all work. We're all devoted to the songs. That's the other thing. We're not. I did some interviews where some journalists asked me, "Oh, there's no like big screams on this album and things like that." And I said, "Well, a scream is a scream. I'm more interested in the melody. I'm more interested that people can sing that song, not that they can be, you know, I'm not interested in hitting the highest note possible. I mean,
Yeah.
there's people who can do that better than me first. Meaning, if you want that, there's singers that are more into that kind of, you know, athletic kind of thing. And the other thing is that sometimes I'll leave that to when I play live. Meaning, when I play live, I allow myself to be maybe a little bit more allow myself more freedom, and I can change some part and be more effective live. But when it comes down to studio, it's a song. Your part has to fit the song. You don't have to overshadow, you know, the rest of the song. And it's the thing I like about Francesco and Rob about when it comes down to the soloing. Especially Francesco can shred. It can go really fast, can really go technical, and you can hear it on the album, but it's never for the sake of it. It's always for the song. It always reflects the soloing is part of the song, and and it reflects the mood, the feelings of the song. It's never, you know, just a show off moment where, okay, whatever, here it goes.
Yeah. That's so metal is way more than just screams. And like, even I'm into like death metal and black, but I'll take a good melody over any kind of scream. And that's why I love Tygers too.
Wait a second. Sorry, somebody knocking on the door.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah. There you go.
Good.
Sorry.
No worries at all.
But that's it. But that's it.
Yeah, cool. So as we wrap up here, I'm just curious. So we were talking about a lot of new wave stuff. So what was your introduction to the new wave of British heavy metal?
I would just go straight to it. Killers from Iron Maiden. I bought Killers when it came out, and I was blown away. I was completely blown away. That was the new wave of British heavy metal record that completely like that. Oh my God, what's this? Ooh, I was lucky enough to buy it. And then I saw my real first first heavy live concert was Def Leppard in 1983 for the Pyromania tour in Florence. And that's the other, you know, that's the other concert that really, you know, sound was shit, but the attitude was great, and the sound was awful. But it was like I was like, I'm in paradise. I loved every minute of it. And then I didn't go the day after. I didn't go to school, and I managed to meet both Phil Collen and Steve Clark walking around my hometown. So I got the autographs of both of them, and I was like, "Oh, they are."
Wow.
I was just a kid. Meaning, I was like, how old was I? 15, 16-year-old.
Quite an introduction.
Yeah. So those were those. I remember clearly those two things. Then, but I was already into music. I was into Queen. My first love was Queen. I asked my father to buy me Night at the Opera in 1976, something like that. So I was just, I was like, how old? I was 8 years old. I just because I heard it on the radio. I heard the record. One of my parents' friend's house, and I heard Bohemian Rhapsody, and I was like, what's that?
Yeah.
So the day after, I just went to my father and said, I know you would love to buy me a book, but I want a record. Can you buy me a record? And not just a record. This is the record I want you to buy me. And he bought me. So he was, and so that was my introduction. And then from that, it was I was already listening. My father had some records. So he had some Rolling Stones and Beatles albums, and that were already the Beatles, the Red Double compilation. And then after that, the other two bands that I was really into straight away were Kiss and AC/DC. Those were the two ones that, and when you get into Kiss, you're fucked. because
yeah, you are.
yeah. So I'm definitely not like a complete Kiss freak fan, but
It's a gateway drug.
exactly. But I think Kiss had a good introduction because thanks to Kiss, I just went backwards. So I went backwards, and that's when Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, Mountains, all the bands
yeah.
all the bands that Kiss ripped off riffs and ideas.
Yeah.
But everybody knows, but that's the thing about Kiss. Then, but you realize the more you get old, you realize how many things they've been taken,
borrowed
ripping,
and taken.
yeah, exactly. But you still love them because obviously they were the first band. I think they were the first band that allowed you to that allowed you to think that it was not just about it was not just the music, it was the whole it's
the imagery.
You close your eyes and you have a vision, which I think is the great thing, and I think it's still the thing that makes me go on, because it's like thanks to Kiss I got my brain stimulated so much about music, and about the fact that music has to communicate something. It's not just about being good, being a good player. You have to have something to say. Meaning, even if there are silly lyrics, but you have to believe in those silly lyrics. Meaning, people, when they see you, they have to think that you mean every single word that you say.
Yes.
And even though it's entertainment, meaning I'm no Bob Dylan. Meaning, I love Bob Dylan, but I can't write Bob Dylan's lyrics. He's the master. But at the same time, even if you say I want to rock and roll all night and party every day, you have to mean it.
Yeah,
you have to
totally.
mean it. It's not about just whatever. We'll give the people what they want. No, it's not give the people what they want. You have to believe. You have to let the people believe that you believe exactly, that you want what they want. Also, that's it.
Yeah, that's fantastic advice. Now, I do want to go back to what you said about Queen. Did that at all set off wanting to be a vocalist? Because Freddie Mercury is like one of the most iconic vocalists of all time.
I don't know why, because I became a vocalist because when I was in high school, and I was with a bunch of friends who wanted to start a band, and basically I was chosen to be the vocalist first because I could speak English. Second, because I had music sheets of a lot of songs, because it was hard. They were really expensive in Italy, and they were hard to find. But since I wanted to learn the lyrics, I had the old the lyric sheet of all the Led Zeppelin songs, because at the time that was the only way to get the lyrics, because there was no internet, there was no lyrics in the sheets apart, in the vinyl and anything. So that was the second reason. And thirdly, because even though my voice when I started was absolutely shit, I could sing in tune. And I had a good sense of the tempo, which was a great bonus. So I joined the first band because of that. Those three reasons. You can speak English, you have lyrics books, and you can sing decently in tempo. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah. That's awesome.
The good thing about that band is that out of four of us, three of us are still musicians. Unbelievably, it was early 80s, but out of four, have become musicians. Meaning, there's a guy who still plays guitar and sings in a quite well-known band here in Italy, and he's from Florence. And we still know we still know each other pretty well. And another guy became a musician, and then he became a TV producer. So it was doing and was a lot of and he produced a lot of music programs because he was a drummer. And only the bass player just quit, didn't play anymore. But it's good. Out of 4, 3 still in the music business. That's fantastic.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Doesn't happen too often, you know.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Would you ever be up to, or would you ever want to play with other new wave bands like Diamond Head, Raven? Would you ever be up to tour with bands like that?
Well, okay. Yeah, the last, no, it wasn't the last gig. Well, we shared the stage with Raven a couple of months ago at Hard Rock Hell in England. We played with Diamond Head several times, and also with Saxon. It was great fun backstage. Brian Tatler is such a gentleman, and we always get pretty, you know, and really, really nice guy. The drummer from Diamond Head helped our drummer Craig to get a sponsorship for the cymbals, for instance. So there's
cool.
So there's a great. We all get along pretty well. There's a I would say that we all know where we stand, you know, nowadays, and obviously we know how, and there is that good part of the good percentage of competition, but at the same time we really also enjoy the fact that we can hang out, you know, backstage all together. Meaning even with Saxon, meaning I was with both. I know that Nigel Glocken, the drummer, is a great IPA.
Oh, yeah?
Great IPA fan. So
awesome.
every time we meet, we start talking about beers. And last time, actually, I bought him. He did a side project, a more progressive rock metal project called 6x6, and I bought the album with the precise idea of, you know, when I meet Nigel, I'm going to have him sign the CD. And he looked at me and say, "Really? Did you buy it?" "Yeah, it's not a problem." "No, I bought it. You know, I also like it." And he was so happy about it. "Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it." So that's the kind of you know, environment. And the other thing is that, you know, we all share the fact that we all play a lot in Germany, because Germany is thankfully the country where heavy metal is still alive and well. So there are still, you can still do tours there. There's still an audience, and there's still big festivals. Big festival. So every now and then we manage to meet with everybody, meaning even, you know, like Tokyo Blade, we met Avenger, we met Blitzkrieg from Newcastle too. So we have the chance to, and it's always nice. I mean, I met you know, the Kevin Riddles. He's the original bass player from Angel Witch, and who has his own band Titan. And we ended up, you know, having a good time backstage in Germany. It's good. There's a good and nice vibe. It's not like, you know, like way back in probably, you know, late 80s, 90s, where everybody were looking at each other.
Yeah.
"I'm better than you." "You're shit."
well, I'm glad we made it through that membrane of the 90s, you know, because the 90s was rough for metal. So I'm glad, you know, and you joined at a great time. You didn't have to go through any of that grunge stuff.
No, it was, well, for me, it was, with the old grunge stuff. It was the thing that I liked about grunge was that the guitars were back, meaning the Gibson, the old traditional sound guitars were back in the records. And I have to say that there's some Soundgarden and Alice in Chains albums that I really like. Totally. But at the same time, it was too depressive.
Yeah.
Meaning I thought there was nothing wrong about, you know, having a good time, meaning that I don't want to be ashamed, you know, of playing rock and roll and having a good time. And then that the 90s had that kind of, no, it's not about good time, it's about being sad, lonely, and miserable. And it's like, but I'm not that. I mean, I tend to be I tend to be positive, meaning I like life. I like meeting people. I enjoy life. I try, meaning I'm 54 and I want to enjoy as much more of this life possible. And I don't have time to be sad and lonely. If I'm sad and lonely, I'll work it. I try to work it out the quickest as possible to be back happy and smiling.
Yeah, instead of putting out a record, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
well, interesting. Are you guys are there any plans to come to the US at all?
There's always, well, we've been there only once. We played in Chicago a long time ago. Well, there's no plans but not because we don't want to, but because it's from a more, I would say, more logistic and bureaucratical point of view. It's not easy.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not easy. You have to find a promoter who's willing to take on board expenses that are needed to be, fully covered from, and fully, I would say, having all the paperwork right to get into the States without hiding our instruments, because that's the other thing. You can go to the States but if they without any permit of, working permit, but if they catch you, if they catch you, it's shit. You get fined and you get thrown back. It happened to big bands, meaning it happened to big bands that they thought that everything was right and they didn't have the paperwork right, so that you're not allowed to play in the States without a working permit, and that's the downside. Meaning, I'm a singer. I could come to America with nothing and then play. But when it comes down to musicians, you need your, meaning Rob needs his guitar. He can't, he can play with another guitar, but it's not the same. It's
he needs to have his own. Yeah. It's not right. And it's budget too, the money, regardless.
Yeah.
Where it's easier to just do something like 2 hours out. Instead of getting on a plane, flying to America.
Well, no, but that's fine. But the other thing is that if you come to America, we did one-off gig, but it was really exhausting. Meaning, if we would love to come to America to do a list, stay a week and do as many
gigs festival, as possible. Maybe. Yeah.
I'll stay 3 days, do like a long arrive on Thursday, gig Friday and Saturday. Sunday rest, and on Monday fly back. That would be fantastic. But you need to find, again, we are more than willing. We are very open. We know if you have any promoter who's any numbers, any name, give us to us, and we'll try to make our best. We'll try to make our best to make it happen. So far, the offers that we got, they were not. We had some offers, but they were not realistic. There was too many risks, and we as you say, we cannot. We could have done it if we were kids, if we were like in our 20s and 30s, but now that we're all in our 50s and 60s, we need to have a little more kind of secure.
Definitely. No, definitely. Very understandable.
We don't want to sleep, in five in two rooms, like things like that, or in a bus,
yeah,
a small van, which I know it happened to a lot of other bands that we know.
Definitely, and it still does till this day. That's so funny. That's so funny. Yeah, it's like. Yeah, it's just like metal has had a little resurgence lately, and with Spotify and streaming, all these, a lot of the younger guys are getting into Tygers and a bunch of British new wave. So that's why, and especially with Bloodlines coming out, that's why, there definitely is an audience here.
I can give you the figures. We released the Bad for Good yesterday.
Yeah.
And we know with a little bit of promotion, meaning with promotion, but nothing compared to the big names, meaning not like thousands and thousands of dollars of budget, but we managed to have we probably end up the weekend with more than 10,000 streams, which for a band like us is unbelievable. Is fantastic.
Awesome.
And they are from all over the world. That's the other thing. It's not from England, it's everywhere, and that gives clearly an idea that there is an interest. And
it's not about a scene anymore. you know?
No, that's it. That's
Yeah.
it. That's it. You have to think it's global. It's global. It's global. And obviously, when it goes global, the budget. You need to be careful with the budget. You need to be careful with scheduling. You need to be careful with a lot of things that in the past you didn't even think of. It was like how many sales, where did it sell? Okay, in Germany it sold this city, and this city, because you had record vinyls and CDs. Great, we'll gig there, 3 gigs, that's it. Now it's not like this. No, it's not like this. It's like
totally different.
It's the map of the world.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have really strange figures, like you are absolutely famous in strange countries you would never expect, where you go, okay, let's see if we can do a tour. Oh, there's no way. You need thousands and thousands of dollars to get to even to get a plane to get there.
Yeah,
and it's not feasible.
And and you also have to have all the equipment and stuff, so it's just it's impossible. But it is cool. It's so cool to see that now. It's not about what record store do you have, how far can you get your records out. It's just everyone everywhere has all your music. It's pretty awesome.
I think it's good. I think it's good. I think it's good, and I think it's good. It's good. I think we can get the best of both worlds, because you get that, and then whenever you have the chance to play live, you get your you get your merchandise, and you get your CDs and vinyls, and people who eventually haven't got a chance to buy the physical copy, they will buy it because they enjoy the evening, they enjoy the gig they had, and they want to have like a memory, some kind of memory of it, physical memory of it.
Yeah.
And that's where they buy a T-shirt, that's where they buy a CD or a vinyl, and that will make full circle. So you have the technology, Spotify, the streams, but then you have a way also to sell physical copies, and everybody will be happy. But still, you have to be very careful in scheduling and planning, and it's not anymore about going out on the road. I would love to just say we'll go out on the road, but there's a lot of expenses going on, and you have to be very careful.
Yeah, and I think Spotify and all these things are almost cementing a lot of these bands, and especially Tygers, forever. It's not like anymore. You have this many records out, and then they all get lost, and the bands, no one knows of them anymore. But now all these bands are.
You have to keep. Yeah, that's the good thing. So it's like having a live archive always available. Yes. But you need to let the people know that you can go and see that. So that's why for us it's crucial to have a new album coming out, to prove that we live and well. First of all, for us, to ourselves, because otherwise we'll be sounding like a cover, still with one original member, where we would sound like a tribute band to Tygers. So we need to have new stuff, and the new stuff is to let the people know that we're still alive and well, and you can reach out for the new stuff, and by reaching out by the new stuff, you can go back and you can listen to a lot of other stuff from the past that is really available. You go on YouTube, you get all the albums. That's no problem. And that's for me, that's a positive thing, because I grew up where you had to, sometimes it was really hard to find. If you wanted to hear that particular album, you had to struggle to find it. You had to pay either a fortune, or you have to be lucky enough to have somebody who had it, who can do your cassette.
Yeah.
Which now, cassette, what's that?
Tape trading.
Tape.
Yeah. Well, it's awesome to hear that from you. Bloodlines comes out in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing this. Really appreciate it. It's been a great conversation.
Thank you.
I'm Brandon Baddick, and this is Disturbing the Priest.